So how do you make a listing agent feel good and safe about your creative finance offer so that they feel good about presenting it to their seller so you can get that deal to the closing table? We call this the Michael Oher pitch. If you don't know who Michael Oher is, he was that left tackle. You saw him in the movie Blind Side, or that movie was about him. He was an inner city high-risk kid who ended up playing for the NFL. Pretty interesting story, but the position of the left tackle, just so you know, it's a very important position because it protects the blind side of the quarterback. So if I'm a right-handed quarterback, they put the best pass blocker on the offensive line on his back. They have the best footwork, they're the best blocker. That's a very important position. Well, in a lot of ways, we are the Michael Oher for the listing agent. We have to make that listing agent feel safe in those two regards, not looking dumb and feeling safe about the structure of the offer so that they're protecting their client, the seller. Now, the 4 protections, by the way, when you address these 4 protections and you educate that listing agent on these protections, then you're going to sell against all the other subject to offers out there. As you guys know, probably if you've been watching my channel, we don't do subject to deals. We have a much stronger way to protect sellers because we partner with the seller essentially to take over their underlying loan. So when a listing agent, we only do this, by the way, when a listing agent shows some apprehension or resistance to a creative finance offer. And by the way, if they ever say, oh, is this a subject to deal? Our response, and I love this response, is when we just simply say, of course it's not a subject to deal. Why would you ever expose your seller to the risks with a subject to deal? We have a much safer way to work with the seller to use their underlying loan. Let me walk you through the 4 protections that you'll be addressing with your seller that will make you look like a superstar for the seller that most agents don't even know to ask. And we'll be here to reinforce this or walk the seller through this if they want to talk about the numbers and the protections we have in place. But here's the 4. Number 1, if someone takes over your seller's existing loan, what protects your seller or cures a potential default? If at any level it involves a foreclosure, friendly foreclosure, a deed in lieu, some transfer back of title, and there's a possibility that the buyer could fight you on that, why would you expose your seller to that? Ours is automatic. Doesn't even involve a transfer of title. That's the cure for a default. Number 2, how are you protecting your seller when it comes to them getting loan ready again in the future? Well, if you're relying on some loan officer or underwriter's discretion or interpretation of the Fannie Mae rules of showing proof that someone else made the payments for them so that that doesn't affect their debt to income, we've seen firsthand that that doesn't work 12 months later, even producing bank statements showing that the seller wasn't making those payments. So that you don't want to expose your seller to. There's a more bulletproof way to do that. And we're going to make you look like a hero because you're thinking of these before they even happen. Number 3, how are you protecting title to the property so that the buyer's entity, if there's any liens that affect the buyer's entity, like they don't pay their IRS taxes, or there's a judgment that attaches to their entity that affects their assets, you don't want the title to the property your seller lets go with their underlying loan in place to be clouded or encumbered in the future. So what is the blocking mechanism that's in place to protect the title for that property? And then number 4 is, of course, how do you not violate the mortgage contract? So while it's completely legal to do a subject to transfer or sell your property subject to that loan staying in place, it violates the mortgage contract. And as licensed professionals, even though that's legal, why would we allow our clients to violate a mortgage contract and potentially trigger a due on sale clause? And so what is the cure if the due on sale is ever triggered that does not involve the seller in the future or getting title back in the future? Subject to buyers can address those 4 protections, so we don't blame you not presenting those, but we'll show you and your seller how they're protected in those 4 regards. That's the Michael Oher pitch.